think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
All right, audience. For you, it's probably been a few days. For us, it is till now. And we've just finished discussing John Woo's Silent Night. But Christmas isn't over. I mean, Christmas is the gift that keeps on giving, particularly when on the Extinction Agenda with James and James, you've got this Mark Waid. There's a couple reasons. So we're doing Christmas with the Superheroes, number 2, volume 1, number 2, December 1989, and edited by Mark Waid, one of the few DC comics that are edited by Mark Waid. The reason I picked this for us to have a little chat about is because Tom Brevoort, longtime editor over at Marvel, he's an extensive blogger. Man, this guy writes so many fucking words. I can't even believe it. And he does these little features, and he's like best comics of such and such a year. And I happened to come across the other day best comics of 1989. And there was, Morrison's debut on Doom Patrol. There was Alan Moore finishing off Miracle Man. There was a bunch of fucking heist, Zot, Scott McCloud's Zot, something else. And then at the tail end of the list was Christmas with the Superheroes, number 2, 1989. And I was like, wow, I got to check this out. And it's perfect timing, right, for Christmas.
Beautiful, yeah.
So sight unseen. And given that I think Tom Brevoort, even though he edits and produces a bunch of fucking shitty comics a lot of the time, he also produces really good ones, and he seems to have pretty good taste. So I was like, all right, what do we got here, Tom? What's up, Brevoort? And so I signed this for us to discuss on this Yuletide season. You didn't get to read it's a collection of short stories. You didn't get to read the last one, Dead Man Should Alt Acquaintance Be Forgot, but I think we can still chat this one up.
Yeah, let's go. You can fill me in on it, and I'll chomp through at the end.
Yeah. So how'd you feel about this one? I didn't know a fucking thing about this. I was just like, we're gonna do that one. And
this is weird because it's again almost like our previous John Woo. This is making an effort to evoke emotion and push on the heartstrings for the season.
Yeah.
And every short story has that. And the first one, the Ex Machina, the
Superman
like a random, the Superman one. So there's like a random old guy in the car who's gonna fucking blow his brains out because no one will stop to help him out on a breakdown on Christmas, which is fucking a bit weird.
Well, he also has some sort of debilitative disease that's gonna, like, he's at the end of his rope, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, he's got that fucking. What kind of gun is that? Man, that's a dirty, hairy fucking gun.
Yeah, like apparently he's just got a. Yeah, it's not
a Magnum in the fucking glove compartment at any given time.
He's not coming back if he unleashes that bad boy.
So what I should say before we continue, one of the reasons, so it wasn't just the Tom Brevoort recommendation. Like I peered into it and I was like, who do we got here? Who's the creative lineup? So this first Superman story is by Paul Chadwick. That's the Concrete guy. I don't know if you ever read any Concrete, but it's a big deal over in Dark Horse Comics in the 90s and early 2000s. Dave Gibbons and Gray Morrow do a Batman story. Eric Shanower, another person you're probably not familiar with, but they're doing and have been for many decades now, the story of the Trojan War in comic book form. There's 4 trades of 7 produced thus far. It's a very slow project. I don't know if they'll ever finish it, frankly. But I have the first 4 trades, and they're remarkable. John Byrne working with Andy Kubert on Enemy Ace. The stinker of the bunch, I feel, is the Bill Loeb's Coleen, Doran, Flash, Hal Jordan story. That one's just a fucking weird piece of shit story.
Oh, I didn't mind that one.
Okay, well, we'll get to it. It's the funniest of them, at least. And then what really made me want to read this one was ironically, the last story by Alan Brennert, with illustrated by Dick Giordano, a Dead Man story. This Brennert guy, he just writes really heartfelt superhero stories. He wrote very few of them. He started off writing for Wonder Woman, the TV series, and so then they brought him in, and he's wrote some fan favorites. And I've talked about him, I think, in the past on the podcast. He's got a really great Batman and Catwoman story that everybody's sort of riffed off of in a lot of different ways, particularly Tom King. So I wanted to read that story, and anyway, we'll get to it. So anyway, back to the Superman thing by Paul Chadwick. What do we think of this Superman?
Yeah, I don't know. The Superman seems, I don't know. He starts off pretty judgy.
Okay.
I find he's a little stiff. I mean, he's come out of nowhere on the middle of a deserted road in the middle of winter to help this old guy. But his command over his heat vision is kind of shown here in a weird way, that he can thaw out frozen engine blocks with enough precision for them to not crack before he. So that's weird, because he warms up the old man with his heat vision, and then he proceeds to warm up the car and basically make repairs to it. But which is fucked up. I don't know. But he basically just talks the guy out of committing suicide. The guy tells him about his problems. Superman says, "Hey man, it's Christmas. You have to call your daughter." The art is not good,
Yeah.
but is sequentially competent. Like in terms of like panel layouts, these are great. It's just two guys in the middle of a deserted road talking in a car. So really, like, in terms of angles and what I'd like to see from that panel to panel, like that, I get that. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
No, it does. I mean, like, it's not exceptional. It's tough to make this interesting. It's a very small story.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, okay, fine. What's preachy? I mean, he literally says, "I don't mean to preach here," so maybe he is preaching. That's exactly like someone who does preach says. But this simple kindness, this kind of Superman is very much Grant Morrison's Superman, where they'll take the time to stop that goth girl from jumping off a building. Right? That's important to them. Bringing hope and the will to continue living in a cruel world is something that Superman does. And it's nice to see this. You know, it's tough to put this in your monthly Superman comic, apparently. I don't know why. I don't really like when he fights Zod and whatnot. You know, I got a lot of time. Like, I got time for that. That's cool. When Superman fucking does a bunch of super shit, that's cool too. But this is the important part of, you know, this is why even Garth Ennis will respect Superman.
I think this is a great Superman story. I think it's a real Superman story. And I like his calm through the scenario. Like, this guy's about to kill himself at the side of the road, and he's able to, like you say, like, talk him down off the ledge. Not only that, at the end he it's interpreted that he tells the man to go to Ma and Pa Ken's house for Christmas dinner. They'd love to have him. So that's interesting, and I like that he says, you know, "I'll never tell. You have my word." And he just looks at him and says, "I believe you." And he knows, because this Superman is powerful and omnipotent and calm. And he would know if this man was lying to him, and that's something you don't have to speak to when you're using Superman. In his cool moment, I thought, at the end there.
And he trusts okay, so there's two ways of reading it. One, I guess the Daredevil reading where, he hears his heartbeat, he can tell whether or not like the dude's lying or whatever, which I'm always skeptical of that, but I think, the more optimistic reading, I think, is that he just trusts. He's, like he helped someone and he believes in the human. When a person says, like I give you my word, like Superman will take them at their word because he believes that humans are honorable at base in some way, right? And but at the same time, he destroys the guy's gun.
I was gonna say, I would like that. I would like that reading if he didn't break the guy's gun right in the same breath.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not meant to be sinister. It's meant to be like sort of he's creating peace.
It's meant to be like sort of we're moving past this now. We've transcended. I've taken you out of your crisis and given you hope, and we move forward.
Yeah, your gun's gone. Go to Monpaz Kent's house. I have to do something. Like, yeah, and it's between adventures, so like he's like, I have to go. Like some fucking shit just happened. I forget what he says. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's nice. Like as far as like, so what are the purpose of these Christmas specials? Just a side note, I took a look at Christmas with the Superheroes #1, and it was edited by Len Wein, and it was just reprints of older Christmas short stories from various comics. Mm-hmm. And these are all original tales by like top flight creators. One of the things that Tom Brevoort said, he said like this was the nail in the coffin of Mark Waid's run at editorial at DC, and I like there's a story in there. I don't know what the story is, but I just thought that was a tantalizing little bit, because these are all like, this is like, I don't know, they're not impressive now, but in 1989 these are big names. These are like the creme de la creme, and he's managed to bring them together to tell very focused Christmas tales that, like you said, sort of to greater and lesser success, pull at the heartstrings or whatever. But what did you think of the Batman one?
I don't know. That's the Dave Gibbons one, right?
It's written by Gibbons, but it's illustrated by a guy named Gray Morrow, who's a real old timer, like a guy he's an illustrator from like the 40s and 50s, who maintained a comics career pretty much up until he died. So this is bringing in someone who probably would have illustrated for Eerie magazine or Vampirella or something.
Yeah. Well, I like his colors, actually. His art and colors are very, very unique, very clean, and his panel layout's outrageously cool. Also, and then the way it's written like a poem, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know that I cared for that. But for this story, it's fine. I like that. And when you do like I don't know, this is fucking like Silent Night all over. I like if someone's gonna experiment and stray from the standard, a little bit. And when you're doing these kind of Christmas specials and stuff, and you're doing shorts, you could do a silent story. We got a silent story coming up in this too.
Yeah. I like that it takes like the first comic had something to say about Superman that everyone's going to praise in the works of Grant Morrison. I think even similarly Morrisonian here in the interpretation of Batman, this, the Robin is positioned as some sort of like, so Batman's born of darkness, like not just darkness, but the kind of darkness that has never been touched, like this primordial awfulness. And everything's awful until like Dick Grayson comes in, and then everything becomes sunny and bright. And
like he's Dick Grayson, given hope.
Yeah, like a sort of a Christ thing, like the light in the winter, the Christmas tree in the dark. And then Robin leaves, and then eventually like Batman just fucking dies. And then it returns to like a realm of symbolism, where like the bad is the dark and the rotten, like it's both hokey and also somehow still works, and says something about Batman and Robin as, like, I don't know, you like, what else are you gonna do? Like, jingle bells, Batman smells? Like, what what are you gonna do? It it's a little much for the subject matter, and it's a little absurd, but I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the Robin sort of. I don't know. I don't know how to interpret it, but like the Robin sort of standing up for itself at the end and flying away free.
That's right. Get out of here,
removed from the darkness. Yes.
Yeah, and like it's literally it's put in front of Robin's costume, and
yeah, I don't need a lot of help with the interpretation. It's my hand's being held. Appreciate that. It's fine. If you're gonna write poetry, at least hold my hand.
Yeah, make it. Suddenly flies off into the night. End of story.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I don't know.
Still have Christmas hope. The North Star fucking shines so bright.
7 panels a page, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 8. 1, 2. It kind of still, though, between 6 and 8 panels per page. It's very dense for what it is. You get a lot of information.
Yeah, and that fucking artwork is great. Facial expressions abound, and not just that, but like posture and movement in the panels. It's
the
wild.
only complaint I have is that Batman looks like Adam West Batman, right? Like, he just looks stupid, like when Alex Ross draws Batman.
He just looks like kind of like a little wild gay bandit. That's okay.
Yeah.
When you got somebody this old timey, just let him cook.
Yeah. The I like it's an unfortunate truth that, like, the vast majority of comics artists can neither draw animals nor children, and Gray Morrow can draw animals and children.
Yes.
And
That's
God
funny
bless
you
them.
say that. And you're always very keen on that too. It drives you nuts when and because our old friend was that Andy Kubert?
Andy Kubert,
or was it Adam?
In the next story?
Yeah.
Not in the next story.
No, we're getting Joe, aren't we? That finished the art, which is a weird thing to write.
Oh, no, that wasn't. Okay, well, we'll get to that. I didn't think it was Joe Kubert that finished it. I thought it was Andy Kubert who did the film, but we'll look at the credits in a moment. The most preachy and, I'm going to say, shitty story, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree, is this Wonder Woman story.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's so basically, you got a priest, minister, female minister. She's recently divorced because her husband was cheating on her. She's very sad. She has a crisis of faith. Wonder Woman shows up. They talk for a minute about how, like, they're both trying to spread peace and love. Wonder Woman's like, how come they don't listen to me? And they both cry for a little bit. And then at the end, the minister feels better, and so does Wonder Woman. The end.
Yeah, that's great. It's a lot of woman power. It's nice.
I don't even know it's woman power, though. It's like,
I find it very weird that the pastor who she a pastor? I don't know. Anyway, that basically, like, after her husband divorced her and she feels like a piece of shit, she walks into the next room and immediately, like, recovers into dinner party mode. Like,
well, I guess you learn how to fake it, right? Like, not only as sorry, this is going to sound misogynist, not only as a woman, but as definitely as a minister, though. You got to put up a face, like a brave face. I'm sure there's lots of days when she just felt like shit and had to didn't want to burden people with it.
Yeah. She doesn't even burden Wonder Woman, who's literally howling in one of these images.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. And there's so many words, and it's so difficult. Yeah, I'm sorry, Wonder Woman. I know it's hard.
It's awful too.
Yeah,
like it's just bad to even read. I'm just looking it over. I'm not even gonna repeat it. It's just gonna be exhausting if I read a bubble of it.
Yeah, don't even bother. So anyway, that happens.
And that's great. Congratulations to them. I don't
Way to go, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay, and which brings us to another Silent Night, literally also called the same. So written and penciled by John Byrne, finished by Andy Kubert.
Oh, yeah, Andy.
Now, yeah, but it looks very much like Joe, and Joe did Enemy Ace, so like they did this on purpose.
Well, John Byrne penciled it. That might have given it more of an on like that old timey edge.
Yeah. And this is very early in Andy Kubert's career. Like I don't know what he would have done before this. Anyway, it's a story of a medical hospital. I suppose it's British people, and she's talking about, some guys got shot down. Someone's angry, some sort of Fritz guy, I don't know. And then the enemy ace shows up, and I guess he's German. What a fucking costume! What a beauty!
Yeah, he's a Nazi. Yeah. Because he's got the SS on his eagle on his helmet too, and he's got the Iron Cross.
Well, I don't know. He predate. This is a World War I concept. I'm pretty sure, rather than World War II. Yeah, so that's all different iconography at that point. Like the Iron Cross is obviously Germany, but it doesn't have all the other connotations attached to it.
Okay.
But either way, man, what an amazing. What is he wearing? Does he have what's flowing from his head?
Well, that's part of his fucking part of his garb, man. Like this guy's a fucking, I don't know. This guy's a problem.
I am desperate to read Enemy Ace comics if this is what he looks like, and then when he gets out of his garb and he just charms all the ladies. He's just a 6'6" fucking absolute stud. Yeah. He's bringing medicine and stuff. Like so where they're guys cooking, but it says behind him it's like days without supply for. So you get a little information, like it's a medical hospital. There's tons of people missing. There's no food, and then Enemy A shows up and he's bringing supplies because he's, I don't know, whatever his affiliation in this war, he's an honorable man. And but I guess a little Billy got shot down by him though. So he's gonna get his revenge.
So he's gonna try and shoot him while he's fucking dancing with babes, with nurses, I guess.
Well, after Enemy Ace salutes all the missing soldiers, like there's such a weird honor code thing happening here. And he doesn't and he's not afraid of the fact that the guy's going to shoot him. He just stands there.
If it's his time, it's his time,
Yeah.
And then Mustache Guy, who's consistently abusing this blonde kid, little Billy. I don't know why he roughed him up for showing the nurse pictures in the first place.
That's a little unclear. Maybe he's also German or something. Like, I don't know. Is he missing a leg? I think he's missing a leg.
I don't think so, because I don't think he's also German, because he casts the enemy ace out after.
Right. Yeah, well, he's like, I think you better leave. And he won't shake his hand or whatever. And then, of course, enemy ace kisses the lady's hand, and she's like, oh.
One last James Bond moment before he fucking rides off into the sunset.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a cool sequence. It was very well illustrated. It was a little confusing, but it wasn't so confusing that I didn't know what happened. I had a lot of trouble seeing John Byrne in all of this, though. I see a little bit of it, but it must have just been like really light sketches for Andy Kubert to just go over. Because that's the only way that this looks so Andy Kubert or Kubert-ish.
The faces do look pretty Andy Kubert-ish.
Yeah. Just every once in a while, I'll catch a glimpse of a smidgen of John Byrne, like a chin or something like that. But yeah, I do think that it was a real quick job, and John Buscema would, depending on his inker, he would just it was just light pencils, and then the person who knew how to understand those pencils would ink it in such a way that it would look like a John Buscema.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even this, when I'm looking at the the cook come into the banquet hall with all the chairs and the window and that great, and then they got the German guys got the pint kind of in the background. She breaks out the record, the stucco's coming off the walls and stuff. I don't know that Andy at this point in time would have been able to do that type of setting.
I'm not certain Andy could do it now. No, that's not fair. Not fair. But definitely not in 1989.
Yeah, no, fuck Andy. Come on.
I don't know. Andy's not so bad. He's better than Adam. We've talked about this. Adam's trash. Andy's the good one. So I don't want to be too bad. Anyway, that story happened. Doesn't have a whole lot to do about Christmas, but it is goodwill towards men, I suppose, to the extent that you can have that in World War I medical facilities. So Bill Loeb and Coleen Doran with Ty Templeton Inks do this Green Lantern Flash story. So it's Barry Allen, not Barry Allen. It is Barry. It's Barry Allen and Hal Jordan. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was Wally West. So I don't know. It's the two friends or whatever. And I don't think this looks good, and I don't understand what the fuck it is.
No,
I do like. I love when so they're on monitor duty, and then they go down to Earth, and they're like, let's just hang out somewhere, and they talk to Santa, and Santa's all grumbly. It's like, people are scum, and then they intercept a mugging, and the first thing, like, they're way overpowered to deal with a mugging.
Oh yeah, like Flash punches a guy 38,000 times.
Yeah, whap, 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 whap.
He like slaps him in the face and gives him gut punches or whatever. That's gonna ruin the guy's life.
Absolutely, this guy can move at the speed of light.
Green Lantern just grabs the guy like with a fish hook and threatens to like throw him straight to the moon.
Yeah. Jail, please.
Yeah, I'll just go to jail, thanks. And crazy getting intercepted by these two during a mugging. And then they're like, hey, aren't you the fucking famous gajillionaire?
Yeah, you're the CB, but that makes you one of the richest men on Earth. But what good is wealth? Humanity is worthless. And they spend the entire story trying to, why is this story is so sort of apologetic towards billionaires? Like, so Wally West gets, Hal Jordan gets a gift, and they're like, oh, that's a gift from Green Arrow. And he's like, it's Das Kapital. He gives it to me every year. I think this is the way of making sure I read it. So, like Green Arrow's fine. He's a socialist, but he's not like a fucking Marxist. And it just feels really weird. There's this like, oh, that's some crazy bullshit. Oh, let's go down and have a drink, and let's help this billionaire learn the meaning of Christmas. Because the billionaire of all fucking people wants to learn the meaning of Christmas, wants to believe that Santa exists. Fuck right off with that fucking bullshit. I don't believe it. Fair. I just fundamentally don't believe this story. And I think Bill Miser Loebs or whatever, there's a reason I don't read that guy, because he's a shill and a hack, and fuck him. My Christmas gift to anyone would be for him to, I don't know, I was going to say something really mean, like for him to be unemployed and possibly have diabetes that causes him to lose his feet. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's true. This is not something. You just sent me a thing that said that don't they want to clean carbon out of the atmosphere? Guys? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They're trying to find a way to monetize it. Why would you need to monetize anything at your current status?
Yeah. We just want to make some money, man. Just want to make some monte while we deal with the fucking mess we've all created.
God. Just build a fucking homeless shelter a couple blocks away from me with 50 units in it. That's what the fucking, like, that's what people are building now. Like, shit.
Yeah. So they find this fucking family. They're like, oh, we ought to deliver presents to everyone in the town. And then they miss.
Oh, yeah. And then he straddles up fucking Flash in a weird gay Rudolph harness.
That's true. ready, Blitzen, let's go. And they're just like so happy to just act like assholes delivering
And then
presents.
they funnel this exhausted, probably half drunk billionaire down the chimney into random people's homes, and they're like, even the little kids like, I thought he'd be a little more inspiring somehow. Yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit billionaire. Like,
Yep.
he doesn't give a fuck. And then he assembles a bike for some degested lady whose husband died, and it's just everything about it's shallow.
So they find that family sleeping in the car, and they're like,
Which is perfect for a billionaire story, because that's how you become ultra rich, is by driving people into the streets.
And
by
the people
minimizing their wages.
The people in the car are just pleased as punch to be living in the car. They're like, oh, people are so much worse off than us. Because, like, guess their house burned down, and I guess insurance didn't pay for it or something. I don't know. Must live in a climate zone. And, like, she's got a cross on her hands, and she's just good Christian people living in her car with her 2 kids. Everyone's calm as Hindu cows. And, yeah, it's just fucking garbage. I can't even believe this horse shit. Makes me so mad. I can't believe that Mark Waid would do the okay on this one. But whatever, I guess he did, Like, you commission these things, and I guess you don't know what you're going to get until it shows up. Maybe, yeah. What pleased me is that the next story, the Dead Man story, begins. So do you know anything about Dead Man?
No.
Okay, so Dead Man's a ghost who but his superpower as a ghost is that he possesses bodies in order to go around and, I guess, do good deeds and solve mysteries and shit like that. So this opens up with him possessing a billionaire, John Turner Danforth, 45 years old, net worth around 65 million, king of the leveraged buyout. And it's just talking about how he put like 10,000 people out of work. And so he immediately, like, it's like, fuck the rich. And I was like, finally an antidote, like something, give me something. And he possesses him to, like, send something to his dead wife and send money, severance payments to all the people that got pink slipped, etc. And it's a story about Dead Man going, like, sort of tasting the life of the living in a very lonely time of the year for him, borrowing the body of a guy who's in love, who's like, it's kind of funny. He's like, this guy's strong. What does he say? Good body, strong, athletic, and aroused. Definitely aroused, with good reason. Excuse me, miss. And he goes to dinner with them and whatever, and he's, but then he realizes, like, I'm fucking stealing this guy's life, and I got to get out of here. He feels really wrong about it, and he curses the gods. And then this blonde girl shows up, and she kind of chastises him. And she's like, you do this for glory? Is that what you're doing? Like, he's like, I saved everyone. Why doesn't God do something for me? And she's like, well, that's why do you do this? That's not why you do this. We don't do it for the recognition. We do it because it needs to be done, because if we don't, no one else will. And so, like, normally people can't see Dead Man, but she can see him. It implies that she's dead. And the punchline of this story is, like, I don't even know who you are, blah, blah, blah. And she says her name is Kara, and which probably means nothing to you. But those who have read and thought about 1980s DC Comics, it's Supergirl. She died in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay.
Blamelessly, like, she just died, and then the world forgot her as a character. Like, she was excised as a concept when John Byrne took over Superman. And this is, it's just like a heartfelt little story about heroism, but it's also a deep cut for nerds. I don't know if you get around to reading it. It brings the feels. It's the sort of thing. It's very modern, I find, in how we deal with superheroes. So it's not really about the superheroics. It's about the feeling of, like, it's more Kurt Busiek. There we go. It's more of a Busiek thing. Yeah. And then they give some respect to Otto Binder and Jim Mooney, who are the guys that created Supergirl. And that's it.
Nice.
That's Christmas, folks.
Well, that's the Christmas with the Superheroes Volume 2.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. What do you like Christmas?
Yeah. I'm good for Christmas. I don't like Christmas at work, but I generally like Christmas.
Okay. Probably should have brought this up before we started reading the comic. I don't know. I really like Christmas. I'm a big fan. I love Christmas related hokum. I don't watch the Hallmark movies and stuff like that, but if you give me like
No, that's too much.
A Christmas Tale will warm my cold heart every fucking time. I like the concept a lot, and I like that this comic engages with that in a sort of meaningful way, with some interesting creators working with some corporate intellectual property with mythic resonance to, I don't know, do something. And I don't know, I'd like to see more of this stuff. Like I never read Halloween specials or Christmas specials because I feel that I'm just going to get just some B creator bullshit. And that's a drag.
Yeah, that you don't want that. No, you want top tier stuff, or at least an effort at it.
Yeah, you want your fucking John Woo.
Yeah, I want John Woo if I'm gonna watch a Christmas movie.
Anyway, so this is probably coming out after the Christ Mass, but I don't know. Merry Christmas, everyone, and thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. I don't know, going on like fucking 5 years of this bullshit. So.
Yeah.
This is like 4.5 or 4 something. I don't know. Whatever. It's been a while. So
yeah.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Now all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.